Welcome to PA Timber Goose. Today is March 10th. Another beautiful day outside. The birds are singing and spring will be here very shortly. Let's go over some of the features of our Lyman Great Plains Hunter. It's a very hefty flintlock. It has a 32-inch octagon barrel. It weighs in at 14 pounds. The back trigger has a 7-pound pull, and it actually sets the front trigger. See if we can give you an idea what this looks like. Squeeze the back trigger ever so slightly. You can hear the front trigger. The front trigger is set at about 2.5 pounds. Definitely an improvement at shooting longer distances. I had some range times with my gun and did 3 ammo tests. I had some GoPro issues. I had to purchase another GoPro 9. So I am missing some footage on that video. I apologize for that. This is a very accurate gun and very heavy to boot. My stock is starting to become dark from all the black powder on my hands and firing so many rounds. I have worn out or frozen already. My range time with the flintlock, the patch and ball, was much more accurate than the conical bullets. And the longer your barrel is, the more accurate it will be because you have a longer sight plane. And the longer barrels tend to generate much more velocity. How it usually works with the black powder gun, if you have a Pennsylvania rifle with a 72-inch barrel, this one's 32 inches. So if I had a 72-inch barrel, it would be like this. They seem a little awkward. Hopefully you can see my hand. They seem a little awkward, but the longer barrel definitely will generate much more velocity. The longer the barrel, the more burn time your powder has. If you have a short barrel gun, and you put 100 grains of powder in, not all of that powder will burn. Some of it will blow out of the end of the barrel and it won't burn at all. So as far as long barrels go with flintlocks, you definitely want a longer barrel. And what also helps is a double trigger. If you have a single trigger, it can have a very heavy trigger pull and sometimes that'll sap your accuracy. This is the third flintlock. I'm very happy with this one. This one shoots much better than the past two. First flintlock was a Cabela's Hawken in a 50 caliber. That had a double trigger. It was a very long trigger pull. I had some problems reaching the front trigger with a lot of heavy clothes on in the late flintlock season. The back trigger was 14 inches and the front trigger was 14.5. So when you brought the gun up, you really had to reach way out here to try to get a hold of that trigger. You had all that extra clothing on, so it was really far. It was hard to line the sights up. So this one is about a 1/2 inch shorter, and it makes a lot of difference. It's still set at 14 inches, but this gun shoots much better than a Hawken. The first flintlock had a 48-inch twist. It actually had a very accurate barrel. I could shoot conicals or patch balls. The best load for that gun was 90 grains of 2F powder with a Thompson Center maxi ball, which I believe they don't make anymore. That gun had some issues. Other than the very long trigger pull, the problem with that is the lock didn't fit very well, so when you would put your powder in here, it would actually go underneath of the barrel. And by the time you wanted to shoot at a deer or something that came your way, most of your powder was gone. This one actually fits much better. You can put powder in the pan and you actually spin it around and it'll actually stay where it's supposed to. The fit on this stock is much tighter. Okay, that was gun number 1. Gun number 2 was a Thompson Firestorm. That had a shorter barrel and it only had one trigger, synthetic stock. So it was much easier to keep clean. That gun only had one trigger on, so I had a hard time shooting that. It was accurate if you could hold the gun still. It didn't balance very well because it was a little bit lighter. I sold that flintlock and went to a Lyman. This handles very nice in the woods, even though the barrel's very long and the gun's a little bit heavier. The longer barrel definitely gives you more velocity. I did hit a deer with that 50 caliber Hawken from Cabela's, and it bounced right off that shoulder blade. It knocked the deer down, and I thought the deer was dead, so I went back and got my deer cart, put the gun back in the truck, and when I came back, the deer was gone. I think it knocked it down and stunned it a little bit, and it got up and ran away. Some wisdom from an old hunter I ran into at the rifle range. I told him what happened, and he told me to Go to a 54 caliber. If you hit a deer with this, it's not going to run away. It definitely has a lot more mass than a 50. The bigger the ball you can put on your target will definitely retain more energy, even though it's traveling a little bit slower. So the longer the barrel you get, the more velocity you get out of your ball, and that's true on Magnum centerfire rifle calibers. If you bought a 300 Win Mag and you looked at the barrel, most of your barrels are 26 inches long. Standard calibers, you could have a 20-inch barrel all the way up to a 24. But the longer the barrel on any type of firearm, definitely makes your powder burn better. It gives you more feet per second and better velocity. The longer the barrel is, if you have iron sights, the longer your plane of sight is, so it's actually much more accurate. So that's my 54 caliber Lyman. Now we'll go over Now I'll go over my load and some of the powder and other components I have for this gun. Let's talk about our gunpowder. I have 4F powder for the pan, and I have 3F powder to go in the barrel. I started out with 2F, but from a suggestion from another flintlock hunter, 3F actually burns much better, and I can get more shots per can because I'm using fewer grains of powder instead of shooting 100 grains of powder. 70 grains of 3F powder is very close to 100 grains of 2F powder. It actually burns much better, which keeps my barrel cleaner and more accurate. Okay, there's my powder. Different kinds of flint. My Lyman 54 caliber, I've actually shot 7/8 and 5/8 in it. The 5/8 seems to work better. I have a 5/8 hand knapped English flint. This works very well, but this chips much faster than the agate flint. These two here are cut flints. I believe this one is a Thompson Center, and it kind of has a clear look to it. I'm not sure if this is flint or what it's made out of. I can actually get a lot of shots out of this. If you look at it, it has two edges on it. When you put this in the jaw of your hammer, you want the sharp edge on the top. So as you shoot, this will break off, and you can turn it around and put this on the other side. So you can get about 20 to 40 shots out of one flint. This one's kind of clear looking. So there's my English flint. There's my Thompson Center cut flint. This is a German agate. This is also 5/8. These are about 2 for $10. I've been shooting these for a long time. I've had good luck with these with ignition. These are the sights I have on my Lyman. I got rid of the buckhorn sights because with my bifocals they're very hard to see at longer ranges. So I have a white dot on the front and a white triangle on the back. These have elevation adjustments up and down. Let's see if I can show you my sights on this. This is actually very easy to see in the low light and at long distances. There's a small white dot on this end. Much better than the buckhorn. The rear sight, you can actually fold this down. When this is in the case, I have it folded down so I don't bump it. There's two screws on either side with an elevation marker and a white diamond on there. These work excellent at the range, and it's definitely money well spent. It improved my patterns greatly. It's much easier on the eyes than trying to look at these small buckhorn sights. So that's my sights. How do I keep my flint in the jaws of the hammer? I have a piece of deer skin here that I had tanned many years ago from one of the doe I killed. Basically, all you do is you cut this, and you'll take your flint like this, and just wrap it around like this, and then put this in the jaws in your gun. One piece of small leather will last quite a few years. I still have the same one that I had in there. What kind of powder do I shoot? Loose powder, no pellets here. I shoot genuine black powder. This is what goes in the flash pan. This is your 4F. Basically, there's a little lever on this canister. This canister is very old, and you have a small tip here. You just open this lever, and the powder will come out. Just trickle a very small amount in that flash pan. And then over here, I have my 3F. This is a canister for loose powder also. And I have this tip cut down to 70 grains. You need a tool to measure out 70 grains. This is what the spout looks like. It comes as a 200 grain spout. And then you put your charge in there and measure it, and very carefully take this off the powder flask and cut it, file it down. So when you're putting your load in your gun, you open the lever, you turn it upside down like this till you get the amount, and let the lever go. It'll close it off, and then you'll have your 70 grains in here. Show you how this is done. Okay, there's my, it's a few grains dry, but generally that's very close to 70 grains. You can cut the tip a little bit larger to compensate for those few grains that are missing. You can see that in there. Then if you want it to go back into the canister, you just open this lever. That'll go back inside and keep your powder dry. Over here I have my ball starter. I shoot 0.18 lubed patches in my gun. Basically what you'll do is you'll put the ball in the patch, push it down here till it touches this. Turn this around, push this all the way down the barrel, then you'll use your ramrod to push all the way down. If you look at my ramrod, once you have your ball seated in your gun with your ramrod, you want to put a line on your rod to make sure that you can tell if your ball is seated all the way down. This will tell you if you have a double charge in there or you forgot to put the powder in. If you have a double charge in and when this is sticking out of the barrel, it'll be this far past the end of your muzzle. If you have no powder in there, your black line will be inside of your barrel. If it's just right, this should be even with the end of your gun. I've had that flintlock for quite a while, so my ramrod is becoming very dark. A lot of guys tell me they've broken their ramrods. If you keep your barrel clean as you're shooting, you'll never snap this off. If you keep shooting, that barrel gets very gritty, and then when you try to put a patch and ball down there, it actually becomes stuck in the barrel and it won't slide down because it's so dirty. So keep your barrel clean. You want to keep wiping your barrel down as you go. When I'm at the range, I always have a 12 gauge collapsible rod. This is in 3 pieces, and I have a little loop on the end. You take an old t-shirt, cut it into 2-inch squares, and as you shoot, you want to keep swabbing the barrel. If you have an ember stuck in the bottom of that barrel and you put your black powder down there, you start pushing the ball down, it can ignite, and you could have a catastrophic injury. So always run a clean patch down the barrel just before you shoot. It'll keep your barrel clean, and it will put out any embers that are in your barrel. Number 13 Thompson Center bore cleaner. I put a few drops on that patch and down, and then when the patch gets dirty, change that out. How do I keep my barrel clean? Basically, I have a dish detergent soap bottle, and you can pour hot water right down the barrel. It will dissolve the black powder. Hot water will dissolve any black powder inside of your barrel. You may have to flush it out a few times so the water comes out clean. Then I swab it down till the barrel is dry, and I want to make sure that all the salt is out of my barrel. So I'll put foaming bore cleaner in there. We'll leave this sit in there for a while until it's clean. Then after a few more patches, that barrel will come out squeaky clean. Very important tool you want to always have with you is a paper clip. And you always want to keep that flash hole open. And if you put a ball in there and there's no powder under it, you have to take the flash hole out. So I have a small screwdriver I always keep with me. And the tip of this is ground down to the same size slot in that flash hole. Basically, when you clean this, if you want to take the barrel off of the Great Plains Hunter, there are 2 wedge pins on here. So what you'll do is you'll push the pins out the other side, and then the barrel will separate from the lug in the back. I do have my wedge pins marked. I have 1 dimple in here, and I have 2 dimples in here. That way I know I put the right wedge pin back in the same hole. They do have a tendency to bend a little bit, and sometimes they can be hard to get back in the hole. The lock has to come off when you clean it. Anything that you don't clean, the black powder will eat the finish on your gun The sulfur in the black powder is very corrosive. This is the second frizzing on my gun. A little modification I made to my flash hole here from the recommendation of another hunter, another YouTuber, to drill this hole out a little bit bigger. So I did increase the flash hole size so it doesn't clog up as much, and I do get a better spark from the pan to my main charge. One modification. The other modification were my sights. I did improve that. I have some brass tacks I added to make it look more realistic. These came from Dixie Gun Works. These have been in here for a long time. I have a few on here. Another issue I had with the gun is these screws came loose. So this one here, I had a little crack in there. I dremelled out underneath of the trigger guard here, and I filled it back in with JB weld. And then on the back, I actually put a larger screw in. If you put too big a screw in the front of the trigger guard, you will block the hole for the ramrod. The screw in the front here is very short and thin. Okay, that's my 54 caliber flintlock, my Lyman's Great Plains Hunter. We'll put you back on the big tripod. Where was black powder originally manufactured? On the East Coast. It was manufactured along the Brandywine by DuPont in Delaware County along the Brandywine. So that's where most of this came from in the earlier days. It's actually a very simple powder. It's only made out of 3 components. It's made out of charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. Charcoal is the fuel, saltpeter is an oxidizer, and sulfur is a binder. It combines all 3. It has a flash point of 500 degrees. This is not considered a propellant. Smokeless powder is considered a propellant, not an explosive. And we'll have a video on that in the future. That's our Lyman 54 caliber Great Plains Hunter. Hopefully you enjoyed this short video. Okay, thanks for watching PA Timber Ghost. Hopefully you enjoyed this short video, me reviewing my Lyman 54 caliber flintlock. Definitely a different way to hunt deer, and if you're not a deer hunter, black powder is a lot of fun at the range. It's a much slower process than shooting a center fire or a crossbow. Lots of smoke, lots of burning powder, cool smell of sulfur in the air. I love the white smoke after you pull the trigger. If it's humid outside, it makes even more smoke. That's even cooler. Okay, if you're a new PA Timber Ghost subscriber, welcome to the family of hunters. And as always, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching PA Timber Ghost. We'll see you on the next video.